Well, hello. So today I thought I would go ahead and today I just made a video a second ago and go through one of the IDEs that I use in Linux. I've not done an considerable amount of programming in Linux. I was actually, believe it or not, a Windows boy and a .NET programmer for most of my life. But we try to keep our rants to a minimum, essentially, about how much we hate the world around us, and say something positive once in a while. Haha. So, with that in mind, I'm going to go through PyCharm Community Edition real quick from the perspective of someone who just wants to get some code made and might have a couple caveats. All right. In my particular case, there's a really big one at this point, and that is that I compiled my own copy of OpenCV because I didn't know what it was going to do to my system, essentially, to compile a whole bunch of crap in the newest versions, and I didn't want to overwrite files that packages were maintain packages essentially were creating. So over here, you got your settings dialog. You'll notice something. PyCharm uses something called VN, or virtual environment. Basically, it allows you to package settings essentially with a copy of a Python interpreter and directory settings and everything else under one loadable environment that will essentially be loaded when you go to run or debug the application. So now I don't really like the way this is laid out. Okay, for one, I got no idea what the hell this bullshit is. I'm going to take a wild guess you can manually add packages this way. Oh, goody. Yeah, well, wonderful. Just great. It's like I just installed the use pip, blah, 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 blah. You notice that external libraries thing. I'm going to take a wild guess this allows you to package things directly with the interpreter that are always going to be there. So, I mean, if I search for, I don't know, numpy. Let's look at numpy. Hopefully this doesn't conflict with what I actually have already. Oh, and there's another little issue I'm already seeing right this second, which is, so this is installing. Oh, look, it's done. Thankfully. God. Alright. Now let's see it here. So I'm going to take a wild guess that this is going to be installed underneath the environment directory in a site packages directory there. Python has a tendency to put everything in a whole directory with a whole init, essentially, that just tells you what the hell is in it. I can choose from. It's kind of a strange language, if you ask me, but I come from a C# background, so that's probably why I find it that way. Anyway, here's a weird way out. Show all. Oh, goody! I get to see all my Python interpreters and what they're associated with via project or via environment or what have you. Oh, awesome! So what does this do? Well, it shows you the interpreter paths. I don't like how you get to this, to be entirely honest, because it seems hidden. It took me a little while to figure out. Oh, this is where I enter the other, including, say, for example, the incredibly custom directories. Where like here's where my OpenCV essentially compiled and installed things. Okay, under an alternate root. Okay, so nice long one too, I might add. I really should probably rename that at some point. Okay, so it's just, that's how you get to that, where you explicitly tell it where any external library directories are, for the Python interpreter. But like I said, I just don't really like it that much. Now simultaneously, now you have here, okay, you have these configurations. Configuration has that interpreter you just created, or one of them, and then you have to go and select a few other freaking things. For example, like if you need to, say for example, set special library search directories, this is the place to do this. See, as easy, I have LD library path set, so that it will look in this when it's looking for the compiled shared object, essentially for open computer vision. Open computer vision it will actually look here. Alright, that's part of it. Because I had to fuck with so much goddamn shit just to get this working the first freaking time. It's amazing. Here you'll also specify working directory and also the actual like startup script. Since there's no main method in Python. Python just runs whatever script you tell it to run. Okay, so there's that. Additionally, I found you can add different sections. Like you can add test, for example, configurations, and copy everything over and the like, because it's pretty much the same. But we're not going to worry about that here. In the other project, however, I'm doing that. Or here. Actually, you might not be able to see that. The other project I'm doing that, where I set that all up. So you can run through this, and your debug and your run buttons appear. Run will just go straight through. It's run about debugging. You're able to select which particular run configuration you're using right here rather easily. You can edit configurations like I said before, and you can add and remove them here. It's pretty simple. On the left-hand side is your standard your standard file view page, with collapsible tab. Alright, when you go ahead and run something, it's a pretty standard layout in general, Down here, however, you have slight differences in the layout. Like here I have essentially what which aspect of this I'm looking at. So if I debug this instead of run it, okay. You'll see a new tab show up at the bottom that says debug versus run. Okay, run will continue to show you your last results if you ran one during this session for the program without debugging. Debug, on the other hand, is exactly what it says. So I don't understand quite the point of that, to be entirely honest, because you can't. If I click this, it's going to ask me if I want to stop the debugging session and rerun. Why would I want them together? You know what I mean? Like you can in certain things like VS Code, you can spawn a external editor if you edit your project config correctly. Same thing with Visual Studio, but like you're only debugging or working on one program at a time. Why would you want to see results, two different sets of results in two different locations? I don't understand it. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense. And of course you got this piece of shit with a dick in his fucking mouth right now, apparently. Anyway, the breakpoints and stuff work the same as anywhere else. In any other IDE, you click this little pane next to the line number and boom, it creates one. And as far as I can tell, it works as advertised. This is a little confusing because you can't edit. You can only view, and here you'll note, like, see how it says site packages, site packages, site packages, and site packages. These are all different locations, alright, but they're not really labeled. I would like to see the ability to label, these as different so I can differentiate between them if I need to, Because what if I get a whole bunch of these is one thing, which you probably wouldn't, but it's always possible, And maybe the ability to search through and see what's actually in each one as well, instead of having to do this and expand and like, oh, there's numpy there. Oh, there's also a numpy there. Oh crap, is there a numpy here? Nope, there's an OpenCV library. Is there a numpy there? There's no numpy there. Nump there, sort of deal. So I remember watching programming videos of guys that kind of look like crackheads, essentially. Like, you gotta look like crackheads, like, and meth heads, essentially creating videos to describe joylessly, what it is you're going to be doing. That's the problem with today's world. I don't think these people really understand how to be all that personable. And I'm a developer, so I shouldn't be personable at all. I should supposedly be like an incredibly like antisocial virgin at the age of freaking 40. You know, supposedly. Yeah, there we go. Of a little stereotypes. But yeah, overall, I give PyCharm. PyCharm's the best Python editing tool that I've found thus far. I mean, the other ones I've used are Visual Studio and VS Code. VS Code doesn't have some of the easily, if you want to call it, easily configurable differences for like a custom run environment. And Visual Studio sucks for everything but Visual C++ and Visual C#, in my opinion. I hate that for everything else. You know, I wish for C#'s sake, essentially, than .NET, that I could port that to Linux, but they, for some reason, are dragging their feet about that. And honestly, the only thing I've enjoyed editing with, because I've tried different languages, the only thing I've enjoyed editing with VS Code thus far is JavaScript. So this by far is the best one, and JetBrains should be congratulated, even if it does run on Java. That's the only little problem is it runs on Java. As you can see, I'm not exactly in like a place by myself right now while I'm making these. Anyway, I'll try to add as much repetition as possible because they don't give a crap about anything. Anyway, so, yep. And there's this guy who's sitting in front of me who supposedly stole these videos trying to make money off them at one point. Nice guy. Anyway, so as I was saying, other than that, I honestly feel that the number of things, for example, in context menus and the like, are a little overwhelming. I feel that they could summarize quite a bit of this, you know. I mean, I find it kind of strange also there's a GitHub-like integration without, you know, specifying that you want GitHub integration as well. A few functions I don't really see the purpose of, like compare with clipboard. Why? Well, there's one, modify run configuration. That's at least strangely located, because you'd think you could do that like somewhere else, you know? Like, it doesn't make an incredible amount of sense, to be entirely honest. So like, and neither does this. You think you'd be able to right click and get straight where you need to go? Nope, you can't. And same with some of these, like open with, like it takes me a second to find the option that I'm looking for at this particular point. You know, at least there's a copy path. That's nice. Okay. Inspect code though. What? Specifying and scheduled. I was like, well, that's a PNG. I don't think I need to be inspecting that. The point is there's a lot of stuff in here that kind of makes me ask why. Alright. I mean, I guess this is alright. You could get the same thing just by opening the file, you know. This, again, is also kind of overwhelming. I would personally simplify a few of these options a little bit in the UI to make things more compact. And also move some stuff around so it's more it's easier to find certain things, you know. But like I said, overall, as long as you ignore all the extra crap in this that you'll never freaking use, like probably ever, or that you'll do manually just by habit, for example. Like, I'm not going to use this. If I need to create a repo, I'm going to go into, at the very most, when it comes to using this, I'm going to go into the freaking terminal that's included, and I'm just going to go, make directory test1, cd test1, go jit init, so on and so forth, you know. Oh no, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to go here and I'm going to go whoa, and fuck around with all these options and like, oh, share project on GitHub. It's like, how I am so curious, so incredibly curious, you know, so incredibly curious. Hold on. Cannot be empty. Share by. Oh, add accounts. Login with token. Login via JetFile. Now let's see after they changed everything around if this actually even works anymore. You know? They've added SSH key like functionality. I'm going through the login like screens and OAuth authentication right now at GitHub. You know, so now I'm kind of curious. Okay, so share. Creating empty JIT repository. Initial commits. Add everything. I'm just going to delete this afterwards, but I'm curious if it works. It actually does appear to be working. Another thing I've noticed about this, which is pretty good, is while there is extensive like support for autocomplete. All right, you have to do some messed up things sometimes. Like, you notice how I am explicitly telling you what this is. That this is the image class from Pillow, and this is the image module and the image class from the module Pillow, or section image and image class from the module Pillow. I have to explicitly do this. I'll tell you why. Let me stop debugging here so you get an idea. So if I say image2 equals image.open/file name, alright, and then I try to take image2 and expand this, you know what I get? Nothing. Because of this strongly typed versus not strongly typed, like bullshit freaking Python, for example, it won't discover what it is. But how you'll notice here that whenever I go like this, I get actual populated lists of methods with their various usually with their various their various what's it called, documents included. There we go. We could hover over documentation, at least anyway. You know. But until I specify specifically what it's going to contain, even if I have earlier in the same code use something that has an explicit return type of that type, it will not expand and show me anything whenever I'm typing or trying to figure out what it is. Now the same thing too is Siphon, for example. Okay, I'm using CV2, and CV2 here, this module, OpenCV Python binary extension loader, that like compiles into a series of Siphon modules, alright, which is like C and Python crap. Well, notice the only thing that it actually exports is Bootstrap. And yet, if I go down through this code, it's resolving to things like this, the standard things, alright? It's just not, it can't find a reference while I'm editing. And so I don't like that, because for me, I think modern developers essentially really need autocomplete. They really need IntelliSense. So yeah, it's a small gripe, but overall, like I said, PyCharm is pretty superior to any of the other options that I've seen thus far. And so I think that's probably about all I really need to touch on at this point. I mean, it's for a developer essentially that just needs a quick look at something. I think I've laid it out pretty well. There's not going to be any online documentation for, you know, you can just get by going like, oh, let's go to F1 here. What does that do? Oh, it goes to it does the same thing it would do in Visual Studio half the fucking time. If you press the wrong key, it takes you to the documentation for the IDE rather than the documentation for the framework in question. You know, I see a lot of things that I really question the purposes of, you know, but I'm sure somebody uses them, you know, just like someone uses SSIS, you know, to rip on Microsoft, or SharePoint, because everybody likes SharePoint. SharePoint's such a useful SharePoint is such a useful project. It really is. It is such a wonderfully. It's cost effective. It's useful. Its performance is so superior. I don't know why I can't say enough good things about fucking SharePoint. Motherfucker. I fucking hate SharePoint. Anyway. So yeah, overall this is a very good job. I mean, all I feel they have to do is go back and prune a little bit. But it's like, well, we added this stuff that maybe might be used a few times by certain people, but like, we worked hard on these. I don't want to remove these features. It's like, it would be nice then if I could do things like, say, for example, disable things to unclutter my screen a little bit, configure things a little bit would be nice, but maybe that's coming in a future release. Like I said, overall, pretty good job. Well, until next time, gotta need a haircut.